Well, hello, and welcome to the In a Flash, The Years Go By podcast, where the Vernon, Texas High School class of 1982 alumni come home to tell the stories that shaped us long after we left the halls of VHS. I'm Ray Gerald, and every episode I have the privilege of visiting with a fellow Vernon Lion to revisit our high school days in Big V and share moments, memories, and milestones that carried us from our Vernon roots to wherever life took us next. These are the real-life journeys of classmates that walked the same halls, cheered under the same Friday night lights, roamed the Lion's Den floor, dragged Wilbarger Street, and watched the same Vernon, Texas sky light up. Our stories always begin in Vernon. Go, Lions! Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of In a Flash, The Years Go By. Today I have the honor of interviewing somebody that has a great high school career with us, and since then, probably another great career. So I want to share some of the background I have for this individual, and a whole slew of things. She was on the homecoming court. She was on the Valentine's court, I think. Uh, she was on the district winning basketball team. And she was your all-school favorite. But most of all, she was able to go to the prom and the football banquet with one of the most handsome, eligible big men on campus. So I introduce you to Dr. Donna Holland. Hey, Donna, how are you?
I'm good, Ray. Thank you for that introduction. I feel very humbled. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to actually go to those banquets.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, thank you for saying yes to agreeing to have this conversation. I've been looking forward to talking with you. We haven't spoken in probably 40 plus years, I don't think. Yeah.
Well, Ray, I mean, I just realized that probably our last conversation was when I shushed you at graduation.
Yeah, I think that might have been. Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
was
think
always
you're
such a
shushing Gay. You're shushing Jay Golden, not me.
yes. Oh, not you. Okay, good. Well,
Uh,
I shouldn't have been shushing anybody, really. I mean, I've always kind of been a rule follower, so um,
well, I kind of was too, but sometimes, uh, I didn't follow all the rules. But you might have been even shushing Tracy Gillespie because she was probably sitting by us, I'm sure. It was probably her. She was stirring us up.
with
But
her reputation, yeah, I'm
yeah,
sure it was
yeah.
her.
All right. Well, that's good. Well, let's dig into this. It's been a long time. What first of all, are you from Vernon, born and raised?
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a
Yeah.
lot of family that were there for generations even before me. So,
Yeah.
when I've been watching a lot of your, podcasts or, YouTube videos, and it's been so great to catch up with everybody because I feel like I've been kind of MIA for a lot of the graduate or the reunions and things like that.
Yeah.
Not really intentional, but yeah, I lived my whole life in Vernon, Texas until I left and went to college and medical school. And then I moved out to Phoenix to do my residency training. And I've been in Phoenix ever since.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll get into some of that. And so in Vernon, when you think of Vernon or high school, what are some memories that come to mind for you?
Yeah, since I do have a lot of family, and I lived out in the country, you know that from picking me up for those
Yeah.
banquets. But
Yeah.
um, my memories are really a lot to do with my family and extended family. We got together almost every week. It was somebody's birthday or Easter or something like that at the same time that I was going to school. And initially, both my parents went to Lockett School,
Mhm.
and then when I was going into first grade, that was the first year that the Lockett schools actually consolidated and closed. And so I went to Vernon School that whole time. So
Oh,
I
wow.
kind of think of Vernon definitely as my home, but in the context of family and also in the context of school.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if Lockett were open, you'd have been a Lockett person, huh?
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. And for folks that might be listening to this that aren't from Vernon, Locket's not real far away, but uh, I recall going out there. It seemed like it was way out in the boonies, and to find your farm, ranch, whatever, it was, back before, GPS and all that kind of stuff. And I were giving directions and turn left at the red fence or go past the hay bales or whatever. You seem to live way
It's
out
15
there.
miles.
15 miles. Okay. Well, when you're a kid that doesn't know
Maybe
where he's
when you're
going, I don't
driving
know.
Skeeter's car, it seems like it's a long way.
That's right. Now his was pretty fast, so maybe it just seemed like it took forever to get out there. But all right. So
Yeah, and
I assume
Lockett's about halfway in between.
okay,
So
and
it's
I
about,
think
yeah.
did you ride the school bus to school?
I did when Jody was talking about the school bus, I wasn't on his school bus, but I was on a different school bus.
Oh, you missed the circus or whatever he called it. Okay. Yeah, so who was out there that lived near you that you rode a school bus with or
Royce Hammonds
okay.
lived right down the road from me. And Kim Strite, she's my cousin. Royce actually
Okay.
is my cousin too, but
Okay.
they both lived pretty close to me, although Royce was the only one that rode our bus. And then we had a lot of other kids that were not really in our class that
Okay.
were on our bus.
Okay. All right. And so when you think back, so you had family time. In high school, what are some of the activities or things that you remember?
Yeah, I remember a lot about high school. Well, I remember a lot about high school, and then as you're talking to other people, there's a lot I don't remember. I was like, really? I did never even know that the theme of our yearbook was like in a flash, the years go by until your podcast. How many years later? So
Yeah.
missed that altogether. But um, I initially in when I was a freshman, I was actually in the FFA and I
Okay.
was president of the FFA, and we went to some competition, and I learned a lot about parliamentary procedure and
Yeah.
leadership and things like that.
Wow.
And I really love that because, I grew up on the farm and we had a lot of animals on the farm to take care of. And initially I thought, that I would be a veterinarian because I just loved taking care of the animals on the farm.
Right.
Um, and then I think as I've heard some of the other guys talk about what they liked about FFA, it was the reason that I didn't continue to take FFA after that because it was about engines and a lot of stuff, projects
Yeah.
that wasn't really that involved in. But I feel like I took a pretty heavy course load
Mhm.
the whole time I was in high school, and I'm not really sure why. I don't remember having a lot of counseling,
Right.
at least of the academic type,
Mhm.
in high school. But I do remember our counselor, Mr. Bursey,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful to Mr. Bursey because he helped me fill out financial aid forms before I actually went to college.
Oh,
And he was responsible for me being able to actually go to college and afford to go to college
yeah.
because I had a lot of academic scholarships, but they weren't, they weren't a full, ride. And so
Right.
he helped me fill out a lot of the financial aid paperwork. So I remember
Oh,
taking a lot of classes.
yeah.
I was in the drill team, and gosh, I mean, I love Shelley Robertson to death. We had the best time in the drill team. We stood next to each other in the stands, and we had some really good routines. We had the umbrellas and the suitcases and the discs. And I really liked that. I didn't really like the practices that much, but it was part of it. And then I played on the basketball team. It's nice of you to say that I was on the team. I practiced a lot, but I never got to play. And
Really?
Ray,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have everybody in the cheers yelling at George London to let Donna play.
Did you not play at all? Really?
No,
Never?
I don't. I don't really remember
No,
ever playing in a game.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Well,
yeah.
we should have, I didn't think about that. We should have had let Donna play because we went to a lot of games because you guys were so good. I remember going to a lot of games. So,
I would
oh.
have been so embarrassed if anybody would have held up that sign because I wasn't really that good. So I really didn't deserve to play, but I was important. I was an important part of the pep squad on the bench and
Yeah,
definitely it taught me a lot about, working hard in practice.
yeah, I can see that. I definitely it wasn't like I wasn't embarrassed by a lot of stuff. So anyway, well that's good. Well, you were on that team. What else do you remember?
Uh, I remember having a lot of science classes, and I really loved my science teachers, a lot of
Hmm.
math classes. Other people have talked about what a strong math department and, Mrs. Miller's English, that
Hmm.
really prepared me, I think, for what's coming ahead. I actually really liked Miss Rose, even though I was afraid of her. There was there was one day that she asked me to. We were doing a lab or something. She asked me to pick up all the meter sticks,
Okay.
and so I don't know. I was just horsing around, but I had them all, and then I had one in my hand, and I was pretending that I was blind, and I was like
Oh,
tapping, and I hit the barometer, and it fell off the wall into the trash can. And she was in that little room where all the chemicals were,
yeah.
and she was just her booming voice was like, "What was that?" And I was like, "Oh gosh." And I was like, "Miss Rose, the barometric pressure is falling." So my wit, I think, got me out of a lot of trouble. She loved me after that, and she like put
Yeah.
me in charge of all the labs and stuff like that. So
Uh, I do remember you had a great sense of humor and was always joking and laughing, and so that's good. And obviously, you still have that sense of humor.
well, and
That's
so
good.
do you, Ray. That's why you're so beloved. I mean, I feel
Beloved.
like,
Well,
yes, you've been in everybody's wedding. I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
told you that people in Vernon, Texas are talking about your podcast, even from classes other than ours,
yeah.
And you said you're Joe Rogan, and I was like, oh no, I wouldn't say that. I think you're like everybody loves Raymond.
Maybe, maybe so. I don't know if everybody, but maybe everybody likes Raymond. Maybe that's it. I don't know if they love him, but well, thanks. That's sweet of you to say that. It's been fun, and I've always liked school because I thought it was a good time. We always had fun, and I always wanted to just laugh, and so that was. And I still, a lot of times my wife will say, I could be by myself and just be laughing. So, I think of stuff and I just start laughing in the car and she thinks that's unusual. So aren't you in a car and something comes across your mind, you just laugh? She looks at me like I'm some kind of a weirdo. I just find things humorous.
I
So I
think
see
it's good
something
for
on
your
a,
soul. I really do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta
It's the
laugh.
best medicine. I'm telling
It
you,
is.
as a
And
doctor,
you
it's
should
the best.
know. Yes. Yeah. Is that what you prescribe for folks? Just laugh more.
You know what? There are a lot of my patients that probably need that as a prescription,
Yeah. Okay.
more so than
Well,
oxycodone.
well, we'll take some of that too. All right. So when you think of a school, first of all, since you were on the team
Yes.
and didn't get to play much, what was it like for you when you guys won district?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really exciting. I felt like I didn't necessarily feel like it was my win, because I participated in practice, but I didn't really participate, in the game.
Hmm.
So I didn't maybe have the sense of ownership that some of the other people had, but I made some really great friends.
Hmm.
Shelly Robertson played basketball as well, and Jill Henson actually was a year below us, and I got to be really good friends with her.
Hmm.
And I just it taught me a lot. About working hard towards something that you care about, even if you're not the star.
Yeah, yeah. I can see being part of the team, in the practice, they have to scrimmage against one another. I seen
Yeah.
you on the scrimmage team versus against the
I think I was number
starters.
10
Number
and we
10.
had 10.
I feel your pain. I can feel that.
I
Uh,
remember Julie Grant, she was
yeah.
kind of one of the star guards on our team. And we were scrimmaging one day. And I think she jumped to do a shot or something. And she landed on my foot and twisted her ankle.
Ooh.
And I think Coach London I thought he was going to kill me.
He blamed you for
My
her
foot
jumping
was
on
in the
your
wrong place. Yes, my foot was in the wrong, entirely the wrong
I could see that. Yeah. Well, you need to stop doing that, Donna.
I know. I know.
Yeah. Keep your feet under yourself and you'll be fine.
Keep them out of Julie's way.
That's right. That's right. But I think she recovered from that and all was good. She was hurt for a little bit, but not too
Not
bad.
not too bad to ruin our chances. So
All right. Well, I remember you wrote, I have a 10-year reunion booklet that you wrote of some memories. And one of them
uh-huh.
was burning Cheetos with Royce Hammonds on the Bunsen burner. Do you remember that?
I think that was probably in Miss Rose's class as well.
Yeah.
I don't recall that right now, just like you didn't recall skipping school.
I don't recall skipping school. I was a
But
rule
yeah,
follower.
yeah, Miss Rose kind of stayed in that little chemical alcove part of the class a lot of times, and so but she did seem to have eyes in the back of her head sometimes. But yeah, we use the Bunsen burners for things that were not authorized in the lab sheet.
All right. I like the way you phrase that. Very I don't know what the term is, but official sounds like. All right. So in being voted all school favorite, my guess is that those folks, I don't remember ever having to vote for anybody for that. I'm sure we did, just like you did for homecoming queen or Valentine's or whatever. I guess it says a lot because you and Chris Hudler was the other was the guy all school favorite. It had to been I don't know if that's humbling or what because I would think you'd have to be kind and sweet and everybody loves you and funny and just what was that like? What feelings did you get from that, if anything?
I was really honored and kind of shocked. To be honest, the way that I remember it in my head, and how your own self consciousness sometimes kind of makes up a story. Um, I was friends with a lot of people in high school. Just like, people knew me and I knew them and we had a fun time together. And like I said, I've always had a pretty good sense of humor. But I am pretty introverted. And so, like, my close friends are pretty few in number. But I remember that day of the voting. I can't remember what was happening, but I was having such a fun time. We were just having so much fun and laughing, and I thought I was really funny that day. And so I think that people just voted for me because I made them laugh that day. That's kind of the way that I remember it in my head. I really hope that the kindness piece is something that people do remember about me. It's really an important ethos in my life right now, but I do feel like there were times when I tried to be funny at the expense of other people, and I feel
Yeah,
really badly about that.
yeah, same here probably. Uh, you can be funny and that's good. And sometimes if it at the cost of others and it hurts, it's
Yeah.
yeah. So for those, I've hurt, uh, because you think you're hilarious, but not all the time. And
Yeah.
so, and a lot of
Yeah.
times, my humor was to, uh, there's almost a defense mechanism, hurt before I got hurt, because the guys were pretty brutal on
Oh,
each
yeah.
other in
Yeah.
terms of humor. And so I got a lot of humor. So it was either, cower or fight back. And so
Yeah.
I tended to fight back. And so sometimes that led to other people that maybe I didn't even know very well and would make jokes or say funny things that weren't kind at all. So I
Well, I think
apologize for those
when
folks.
you talked to Matthew Stafford, he said something like that, and that really struck a nerve for me too, as
Yeah.
well. And I was like, wow, if Matthew Stafford feels that way, you know, all of us are
Yeah.
guilty.
Yeah, 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 exactly. I think it was my senior year, and he wrote in my annual something to the effect of if I was anything ever less than a friend to you, or that apologize, or something to that effect. And I
Wow.
thought, wow, I never would have thought to think that.
And
And I
I
don't
wasn't mature enough. See, I wrote about Cheetos.
know. Well, some of us are just matured much faster. I'm still working on my maturity.
Yeah, late bloomer.
I'm growing old, but I'm not growing up. All right. So in FFA, were you the president of your freshman year?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the one year you did it?
Yeah, again, my memories, I mean, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like I've had a whole life and then another life in school and then another life,
Yeah.
So I think it was only my freshman year.
Okay.
Someone told me I needed to take Latin and, typing and all. So I had just a cadre of different classes all across
Hmm.
the board. Uh,
Okay.
Took
Hmm.
art class. I remember Mr. Brand.
Yeah.
I think that Skeeter talked about him.
Hmm.
So, there's so many people along the way, that
Yeah.
just encourage you at the right time and, put you on the right path. And it's been such an important part of my life and where I got here. I want to tell I left high school and went to college and, then came back right before I started medical school, and I actually saw Miss Rader, the drill team,
Hmm.
leader,
Hmm.
in the grocery store or something. And she recognized me, and she's like, "Well, what are you up to?" And I said, "Miss Rader, I'm getting ready to start medical school." And she died laughing, and said, "Yeah, right." Like she thought I was pulling her leg,
Yeah.
you know. So I it's very interesting that you introduced me the way that you did, because I feel like the expectations that people had of me were not that high.
Hmm. Yeah. I wonder if about myself too. You probably should have got what I got after. I don't know when we got these, but when you get like either most likely to succeed or something like
Oh yeah.
best. Do you remember we got these little certificates? I don't know if it's after the banquet, the prom, or
Mhm.
what. When we got those, um, I got best con artist, and I think the teachers voted for that, right? Gave you that. And I thought, how do I get best con artist? If I'm that good, then I must not have been very good because you know that I'm a con artist. But I was always trying to get out of stuff and joking around
Mm,
and maybe that's what I thought you
yeah.
should have had that best con artist. Did you get best con artist? Maybe best female con
No,
artist.
I did. No, not to
What
my
did you
knowledge.
get? What did you
I
get?
don't know if I got anything. I don't remember. Did I get
Oh,
something?
I don't know. I only saw my certificate. I was always worried about me, not anybody else. Uh, anyway, and I think Roy got like best walk or something like that. That the name's
Well, he does have kind of a strut. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it served him well in the baseball team.
Yeah, I guess so. Uh, okay, so let me ask you a question. Talk about football for a second, because this is right now it's about me, not you. But you and Angie Leishman uh, did my scrapbook, my Vernon Lyons scrapbook. Yeah.
So you said, I have no recollection of that. And I guess we decorated your locker too. Did we do that?
Yeah, so that was my question is, and I saw also we got like cookies or brownies inside the
Yeah. I have
locker.
no recollection, Ray. I hope I took good care of you.
Yeah, you guys did great. And so my question is, was that supposed to be a secret? Because I don't remember who did that, and I don't remember you telling me that, or anybody telling me that, hey, they're going to do these scrapbooks for you, that kind of thing. And then when we had that, I was such a great player and such an integral part of the Vernon Lion football team that I had
You
two
were.
people doing my
Yes.
scrapbook, and
Yeah.
and it
I
was
mean, it
a
took us both. Like we were in the microfiche in the library.
And who was the artist? Because they did it had a Disney, a Snoopy
Oh,
theme to
yeah.
it. Are
That
you the
was me.
artist, or was that yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a wonderful scrapbook, and the protocol for that is my assumption is I'm supposed to have said thank you or do something, and I don't think I ever thanked you and Angie for that, and I
You know
apologize
what,
for
Ray?
not
I'm going to
doing
give you a
that.
pass because I don't even remember it.
That's how important it was for you. But it was a
No, at the
wonderful,
time, I'm sure at the time it was very
yeah.
important.
It was great, and so I just want to say thank you now and to everybody that's watching. So because I don't think I did, and to Angie as well. I haven't been in
Yes, I'm
contact
sure
with
a
her
lot of
yet.
it
And,
had to do
yeah,
with Angie.
yeah, great photos in there. I don't know if they're very action photos, but a lot of me on the sidelines kind of stuff. Sitting as close to Coach Britton as I could in case I had to go in. Anyway, so I was wondering like, were you guys the ones that did that? And so somebody decorated my locker, and
Yeah, I
so it was
remember
good stuff.
that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. And so do you know how the Let Ray Play stuff started? I should ask
Um,
Jenny because she brought that up in one of hers.
yes, I do not know how it started, but I was a part of
Okay.
it. Not
Okay.
how it got started, but how it
Okay.
continued, you know.
All right. You're an accomplice. Okay. Very good. So who are some of the you talked about Mr. Brand. Who are some of the people that inspired you from high school? You talked about Mr. Bursey and helping you with financial aid, applications and
Yeah, well, he helped me a lot, and I do have an endearing part of my heart for him. I don't know if I would say he was an inspiration, but
okay.
um, he was important. I, you know, I think the teachers helped me a lot. I don't think that I necessarily was inspired by any of them. I don't
Okay.
know if that's the wrong word or not, but um, just to give you a little background, like when I was 13 years old, I got sick and I had to be hospitalized. And
Mm,
it turns out that I had rheumatic fever.
mm,
And, there was some concern that it had caused a problem with my kidneys. And, my mom and dad were really concerned because a person who farmed right next to us, his daughter was 4 or 5 years older than me, and she had actually died with nephritis in her senior year of high school. It was something
wow.
different. It wasn't what I ended up having, but I was in the hospital in Vernon, and our family doctor was coming to take care of me. And I think I was 12 and 12 or 13. And I could tell my mom was really concerned about me.
Yeah.
And all these family members started visiting, and I got the feeling that I was dying, and nobody was telling me what was going on.
Mm,
But we had this amazing doctor, Dr. Eaton, James Eaton. He was like this really tall man with this really deep voice, and he would walk in the room, and I could feel my mom relax. It was palpable.
mm,
And I was so struck by him that I was like, I hope that someday I can be in a position to help somebody feel the way that he's helping my mom.
wow.
And so that was when I started thinking about going to medical school.
Okay.
And that really kind of changed the whole focus of what I did after that, in a much more honed way. But I wasn't a confident, overly confident person. And I wouldn't say that I didn't see myself as like the top smart people. I mean, I was in honor classes and stuff. So I kind of kept that to myself, which
Mm,
unfortunately was not great because you need mentorship and you need support to actually get to medical school. So that came later. But that was a big part of why I took the classes that I took, and the decisions that I made and what I did, what I did really through high school and college and into
yeah.
medical school.
Wow. It's an amazing story. I saw obviously how long were you in the hospital?
For about a week. And then I couldn't go back to school that the rest of that year, so I had to do my homework from home. And then I
Mm,
finally, when I finally got to go back, I could only go back for half of a day. And nobody knew what was going on. So everybody, when you go back to school, and again, a lot of it was probably internal, I felt like everybody was looking at me like, what is wrong with that person?
wow, really? Hmm.
Yeah.
So that was during middle school, obviously,
Yeah. An
intermediate.
intermediate.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
was really glad to turn the page and get into high school because I
Yeah.
felt like even though a lot of the people in high school I knew from middle school, it seemed like there was an influx of new people and just new classes. And so it kind
Mhm.
of just washed that away. So, I
Okay.
I didn't have to feel like people were treating me any differently.
Hmm. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. And so in high school, I wouldn't know that as wanting to be a doctor because you talked about wanting to be a vet. Were you wanting to be a doctor, like a medical doctor or a veterinarian after high school after that event? Because you talked about
No, I
wanting to
wanted to
maybe
be a
be a vet.
medical doctor. Yeah. When I was in
Okay.
fourth grade, that was one of my teachers had us write autobiography when we were in fourth grade, and I wrote that I was either going to be a rock and roll singer or a vet. So I drew a picture of myself with a syringe in one hand and a microphone in the other. Um, and, I think just growing up on the farm, just being around animals and helping my dad, like deliver cows and, medicate the cows and raise calves and be
Mhm.
in 4-H. I think naturally I kind of gravitated toward people. And then when I had my own experience with that illness, that really kind of solidified it. But like
Wow.
I said,
Okay.
I wasn't talking to a lot of people about the fact that I wanted to go to medical school because I didn't want to fail and
Hmm.
suffer the embarrassment that I wanted to and I didn't get in.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, do you want to move into college and medical school now, or do you have any other thoughts you want to share about high school?
Yeah, I was thinking about, I don't, what does that plaque say behind you, that clock?
That says
Distinguished
present.
Service
It
Award?
says, yeah, it's like you're
Artist?
the most wonderful federal employee we've ever had. No, it says presented to Ray Gerald, Investigations Branch Manager. Thank you for your leadership. Good luck in your future endeavors. From November 2002 to August 2014. I changed careers. I got out of investigations and just
Hmm.
in the federal government. So that's what that says. Why do
Yeah.
you ask?
Well, no, it just seems like a distinguished gift that you have in your little Texas space, and that's it. It's important to you, and I think it says something about you. And the reason that I ask is, I, part of my the opportunity that I have had is to become like a leader and an educator and a teacher. And I think that you've probably had some leadership training as well, maybe. I don't know. But if when I got my first job, I was working with people that were a lot older than me and then recruiting people into the program that were a lot younger than me. And you learn a lot about how the different generations experience life and some of their worldviews. And so the reason that I bring this up is I think that every generation it's true that they look at the next generation and say, "Oh my gosh, we had it. We, like our high school experience was so much better, and it's, so awesome, and it just doesn't happen anymore." And so, but I'm going to say that, like, I think that our high school experience, the one that we had, it's not happening the way that it used to, where everybody knew everybody and was connected. And I remember the pep rallies where there was this alignment and a sense of community, and the football team getting behind the football team, was really kind of a included everybody.
Yeah, it's a true
So I have a
community.
lot of memories, a lot of really good memories of that part of being in high school there.
Okay, great. But well, before we move on, do you want to take the 2 minute drill challenge?
Yes, I would love to take the
Okay.
2-minute drill.
All right. Well, let's do that real quick. We'll do a transition here. Okay. All right. Let me put 2 minutes on the clock here. Okay. All right. Okay. So you ready?
Yes,
Okay. Pre-game or halftime or post-game?
halftime, drill team,
Halftime.
and the band,
Hey.
baby.
All right. All right. United Supermarket, Koi Supermarket, or Piggly Wiggly?
You know what? I'm gonna have to say Karcher's Farm Store, which the
Oh,
kids are gonna, I
yeah.
mean, that
Okay.
was right down the road.
That makes
That's
sense. All right. Sorry to leave that one out. Rodeo or bonfire?
rodeo for sure.
Okay. Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, or Pepsi, or
I'm
something
gonna have to
else?
go with Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. You're the
it's the
outlier so
original.
far.
I know.
All right. Journey or Foreigner?
Journey,
Mhm. All right. Dairy Queen or Bevo's?
Bevos, still Bevos.
Still Bevo's. All right. Junior prom or senior prom?
You know what, Ray? How could I not answer this? Senior prom.
All right. Let's see. All right. Band or drill team or cheerleaders?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to say drill team.
Okay. Osborne's or TG&Y?
Osborne's. Although the soda fountain at TGNY if you really were the TGNY before it was, moved,
Yeah, out there. Yeah.
soda fountain, which
Okay.
was a good part of
Okay.
that.
I don't know if this one applies, but running or lifting weights?
Oh gosh, yoga.
Okay. Miller's Quick Check or Allsup's?
I've had a few Allsup's burritos. I'm
Okay.
sure that
All
I'm not good to say about that from a physician standpoint.
right. Okay. Lake Camp or Pease River?
You know what? I didn't really go to either one that much.
Okay. All right. Hardee's or Sonic?
Sonic.
Sonic. Senior play or one act play?
Ray, I had two words in the senior play.
Yeah. What were they? Do you remember what they were?
Yes, Soho delivery. I mean, so I could have just been like an AI bot. They didn't even really need me.
No, you were needed. You're an integral part of that. That's good.
Exactly.
So we
No,
had to know the
you
delivery
you
though.
and Roy stole the show, so,
I don't know about that, but well, thank you. All right, pep rallies or bus trips?
I really loved both for different reasons. The bus
Yeah,
trips are where I was with my homies, like
yeah,
smaller group of people. But the pep rallies, like I said, I really loved just the sense of community and alignment uh, that included everybody.
yeah. All right, good answer. Cafetorium lunch or off-campus lunch?
I never got to go off campus. You guys talk about this. That must have been the greatest thing. But
I
yeah,
didn't go off campus. I was on either free lunch or reduced lunch program. So I was in the
same here.
cafeteria.
Same here.
Pizza Hut or Pizza Point?
Pizza Point, and I will tell you
Yes.
why. Starlyn Thomas showed me how to put creamy Italian dressing
Uh,
on pizza.
hmm,
And to this day, it just doesn't taste right if it's not on there,
yeah, okay. All right, very good.
which is the reason
Putt
I don't eat very much pizza.
putt putt or skating rink?
Mm, probably skating rink. But
Mhm.
again, I didn't really frequent either one very much.
Yeah. Plaza Movie Theater or the drive-in theater?
Plaza. I think the
Uh,
drive-in, was the drive-in even open that much?
it was
Maybe
open.
because I didn't have a car. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was open, but I only went there a couple of times.
Yeah, yeah.
Pioneer or JVC or Craco?
Whatever was factory.
VM. Would you rather have 10 licks or hours of detention?
Oh man, I've had both actually, but
Yeah.
only in middle school. Neither one was fun. So is there an option three?
Uh,
Since I was
uh,
class favorite, I mean, couldn't I get and you were a con artist? Shouldn't we
we
be able to
get
get out of that?
we get a little dispensation for that. Yeah. You're out of that. This country, I never had licks. So
Really?
yeah. Well, in
Con
California, they
artist.
didn't do that. But we moved to Texas and, I didn't have to. There's other
Yeah.
people that were
I don't
getting in
think they do
trouble.
that anymore in Texas. I don't know. We're gonna have to check with
Yeah.
Linda and
Yeah.
Jenny and Nancy.
Yeah. Uh, all right. You passed. You got 100%. And that helps because that tells you probably went to medical school because you did so well on that test. All right.
Yeah, right. I didn't
Very
have to
good.
bubble in any circles.
All right. So you get some financial aid and you went to West Texas State. Is that
I
correct?
did. I
Yeah.
did. I wanted to go to UT or I wanted to go to Abilene Christian
Okay.
University.
Hmm.
The financial decision was that I went to West Texas State, and that was probably a lot better decision because, it's a smaller campus, smaller classes. Um, Jenny and Shelly were there. So, from my freshman year, I spent a lot of time with them. But then I got really heavy into the books and I had to get a work study job where I was in charge of the campus greenhouse, and I've always loved plants. And
Okay.
so that was just my nirvana. I would go into the greenhouse and, blast Journey on the radio and, take care of the plants and make potting soil and, all that
Yeah.
stuff. That has been part of my life forever because even in medical school, we would have our exams and most of the most of my classmates would go out drinking and I would go to the plant nursery and, just look around and find cool looking plants and stuff like that. It kept me out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, that's good. So was this a paid job or is it just you get certain money off your tuition or whatever on campus?
Um, yeah, it gets money off of your tuition.
Okay. All right.
You
Nice.
don't ever really get a paycheck.
I may have seen you on campus because, I was there for about 3 months before I went home with my tail between my legs. But we may have seen each other, but you're probably in the books. And I was not as in the books as I should have been probably with Jody and Jay.
Yeah, well, you probably had more fun than I. Remember, I was a rule follower, so you probably had a lot more fun than I did.
I had a good time, probably too much fun, but I did. But I didn't know that Mr. Bursey was helpful in financial aid. I saw him once, like my freshman year. These are the classes you take, and okay. And I never thought to go to him to find out financial aid. And I just thought, oh, I'll get a loan or whatever. So I wish I knew that, and it might have helped.
I think
But
that was probably, a manifestation of God in my life. I mean, why would I ever go to Mr. Bursey's office? But I
yeah,
ended up there and he helped me tediously fill out all of these financial aid forms and it
good.
helped immensely.
That's great. I said, so you finished at West Texas, got your bachelor's, I assume.
I did.
Okay.
And then I applied to medical school the last year, but I was on the wait list. I didn't get accepted. So I stayed there for a few more classes after I graduated, which was really helpful because I wasn't ready. It helped me get ready. I worked and then I moved to Fort Worth for a year and lived with my dad's brother and his wife. And I worked at Harris Hospital in the pharmacy.
Downtown?
Yeah. hmm
Okay.
I worked in the pharmacy and, got some experience volunteering and stuff like that. And so I went to medical school then at the University of Texas in Houston the
Okay.
following.
Okay. All right. And so what do you get as a pre-med? What's your bachelor of what do you get a bachelor's in?
Mine is in biology.
Biology. Okay. And so when you went to medical school, did you know what kind of doctor you wanted to be?
No, but the only conception that I had was the family doctor that we had.
Okay.
And I saw myself going back to Vernon, when I was done, and I've and reflected a lot about this, about what is my motivation to do some of the things that I do, and growing up on the farm, I had one brother who's 3 years older than me, and I got the memo from a very young age that being useful was an important part of life on the farm. And so I vividly remember when I was, younger, like I couldn't wait until I was old enough to be in 4-H, and I couldn't wait until I was strong enough to pick up a bale of hay just so that I could be like useful and helpful. So when I was in medical school, again, it was all I could do it was pretty challenging for me. And I was, passing the classes, which is good. I mean, I was a little bit more than passing the classes, but I was really just in the middle of the class. And then we started our rotations in the hospital. And the first rotation that I had was in obstetrics and gynecology. And my first day, I met, an amazing patient, and she had a catastrophic event as a part of her delivery, and that was very traumatizing for me. And I was like, no, thank you.
Hmm.
Not
Yeah.
obstetrics. Um, and then the second rotation that I did was pediatrics, and I met a resident who was actually working with me, who was doing this combined residency program called internal medicine and pediatrics. So it's almost like doing two residencies, but you, instead of 3 years of internal medicine and 3 years of pediatrics, you do 4 years, and during that time you do both 24 months of pediatrics and 24 months of internal medicine, kind of going back and forth. So I knew, again, right when I met him and I saw the type of person that he was, and I learned more about what MedPeds was, I knew immediately that that's what I wanted to do, because that would give me the breadth of, a specialty that would allow me to be very useful, thinking about going back to Vernon, Texas.
Okay. All right. So, and how long is medical school for you?
It's 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
4 years of medical school, and then because med peds it's there aren't a lot of programs out there. That's how I ended up in Phoenix. Most of the programs were on the East Coast, and I did not seem like an East Coast kind of person, so I could stay in, though I think, two programs that were in Texas or Phoenix or California. And I came out to look at the program in Phoenix, and the people that I met here, just, again, another intuitive decision. They just seemed like the place that I needed to be.
Right.
And I like to think of all those little intuitive decisions that I made along the way as just this still quiet voice of God kind of leading me to make that
Mhm.
decision. I feel like as I've gotten older, I can reflect and hear that as such now, and not just, based on my own intuition. So,
Right. Hmm. All right. Uh, and so when you say the programs, that's so are you considered a doctor when you graduate medical school, or do you have to go through your residency and then how does that work?
yeah, you have a doctorate degree,
Okay.
and you can have people refer to you as a doctor, but you can't practice medicine, and
Okay.
you're not board certified,
Okay.
and so you can't really get on any insurance plans until you are licensed and board certified. So
All right.
that means that you have to complete your residency training and then take a board certification exam.
Okay.
So I finished 4 years of residency in Phoenix, and I was learning so much the whole time. It was amazing, but hard work, And then I
Yeah.
stayed on as a fifth year to be the chief medicine resident, which is like a leadership position,
Okay.
uh, and then that put me in a position that year. The program director for the training program that I had finished abruptly resigned, and went into private practice, and so that allowed me the opportunity. One of the chairs of the department basically called me into his office and said, a lot of the residents want you to be the program director. And I was like, I don't know anything about being a program director. And he said, I think that you do,
Hmm.
you should think about it. So again, another golden opportunity, that again had to come from divine intervention. And
Yeah.
and so I was the MedPeds program director for 23 years. So I
Wow.
practiced both internal medicine and pediatrics, and recruited, young people that were finishing medical school to come and train at the program in Phoenix.
Okay. Is that in the program? Is that in a hospital? It's a
Yeah,
hospital program of
at
hospital?
Phoenix
Okay.
Children's Hospital, and then
Okay.
it's a Banner University Medical Center. It's the largest hospital in Phoenix, and it's
Hmm.
the teaching hospital for the medical school now.
Wow. Okay. All right. So 4 years of bachelor college at WT, 4 years of medical school, 4 or 5 years of residency program, then you move into
I did
leadership.
5 years of college. So, Ray, I mean, it was 15 years from graduating, from when I shushed you at graduation. It was 15 years.
You shush Jay. You shush Jay.
Okay, okay. It was 15 years before I had a real job. Uh,
Okay. Wow.
so I didn't really ever think of it that way, but I knew you were
Mhm.
going to kind of chronicle what happened to me. And then I started adding it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was 15 years.
Yeah.
But I was doing something that I loved, that whole time, and learning, and I felt like I was making an important contribution. So it didn't really seem like a sacrifice.
Hmm. And so when you talk about your love of what you were doing, what is it about going into medicine? Talked about, being useful. What is it about helping others and helping children, and what has that done for you in terms of why do you love it so much?
Mm, it's a really thoughtful question. I wouldn't think somebody that was an investigator. I mean, I feel like you would ask accusatory questions, not so many thoughtful questions, but you're really good at asking these questions.
Well, thanks. Well, the questioning, asking questions, that's what I did for a living for many years. But I moved into leadership, after
Mm,
this, and that's leadership development and coaching. And
yes.
so it went from, those accusatory questions. Now, my wife will tell you that I do a lot of interrogation type of questioning, but I try not to. But anyway, so that's where I think that comes from. But anyway, so answer the
Yeah,
question, please.
that is a really complicated question. I think it's just being able to be a human being when someone else is having one of the worst days of their life and just navigating some of the uncertainty around that, and then going home and realizing that every single one of us lives with the same amount of uncertainty every single day. But whenever you have like a life threatening or a life limiting illness that comes to the forefront of your mind, uh, it just has a way of shifting your focus to like the most important priorities or things. And again, sometimes it really catches people off guard and they have a lot of anxiety and sometimes anger and frustration, and just being able to meet them where they are and take that in and let what isn't helpful wash over you and try to be helpful to them in the moment. Um, I wouldn't want to do anything else. And I still love going to work.
Yeah, that's great. And so you've talked about your faith. How has your faith affected your practice or, how you engage with your patients and their families?
Yeah, that's a really good question and a really tricky question to answer. I mean, I try to um, my parents have had a lot of health issues back in Texas, and I feel like being a doctor in Texas um, is a little different and feels a lot more natural to me sometimes than being a doctor in Phoenix, because um, there's just something about Texans that, are just like connected, and it's like, oh, come over for supper, borrow my truck. Like they just have a sense of, like connectedness right from the get go. And Phoenix, and working in like, the biggest hospital in the state is, there's so many different people with so many different life experiences and beliefs and thoughts and, opinions. So you have to be authentic, but you also have to try to be neutral, So I try to meet the patients and just get an idea of, what's important to them and what is their life, who are they outside of just this day that they're in the hospital, like
Right.
who's important to them, who do they call when they need somebody, things like that. And find out who they are and what their life has been like, and then that lets me know how much of my faith I can, bring into the room or bring into the space. We have a pastoral care department, and a lot of times I say, I know that it can be really anxiety provoking for you here. We have pet therapy, we have music therapy, we have a pastoral care department. Please let us know how we can help you. And then there are some patients that I actually pray with, but figuring out who is part of the challenge, I think. So it's a very important part of who I am, but how
Mhm.
much of that I share with the patient really just kind of depends.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. Being an investigator and working for the government, you have to be careful about how much you share because you could get, which is a sad
Yeah.
state to be in. You have to kind of just be careful because folks can uh, not be receptive to certain things.
Yes. Yes, I've had
Uh,
my own HR investigation, which luckily was very short, but one of the residents was not behaving very well and was sending off all of these inflammatory emails to people in a higher leadership position than I was. And I
Yeah.
called them and I said, please stop sending these emails. You could get fired. And so that kind of transitioned to me threatening to fire them. So,
Yeah, yeah. I can see that. This other award here is the Carpe Diem award I got because I was as a manager and dealing with employees and working through HR issues and apparently doing pretty well at it, I guess. So anyway,
yeah. See, I don't have
uh,
a Carpe Diem award.
well, you want I'll mail this one to you. It's got my name on it though. We can just scratch it
Oh,
out and
yeah.
put yours on
Yeah.
there.
I'll get a label maker.
Yeah, you can take that whole plate off and get another one. All right, so what is people have their best days, good days. What is a best day for you being as a doctor in medicine medical field?
Yeah. I actually have a lot of those, and because I work with like residents in training, I we see the patients together, and so I remember during COVID we had a patient that was in the hospital 180 days, and we got to discharge that patient, and I remember asking him, "What's the first thing you're going to do?" And he said, drink a Modelo," and so I snuck him in like a 6 pack of Modelo.
Did you?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, the guy had been in the hospital. I mean, he was on the ventilator.
Oh,
That was
wow.
a terrible time to be a doctor. But uh, there are a lot of people that you think are not going to get better, and they do, and
Hmm.
that's really something to celebrate. I think helping somebody learn something important.
Mhm.
We have a graduation ceremony, at the end of every year where residents finish their training, and that's really satisfying, to
Mhm.
have been a part of uh, teaching them and inspiring them and hopefully mentoring them, to be the kind of doctor
Yeah.
that they dreamt about being, one day when they decided that they would go on this 15-year stint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do they ever? My assumption is that folks would have come back to you and say how, do they come back later after they're into their practice and whatever as to somehow come back with you and say thanks or kudos to
Yeah,
you or
a lot of
what's
them
it?
do.
Yeah,
A lot
what's
of
that
them do.
like?
I've gotten teaching awards, and I got an award one year, the teaching attending that you would most want to call at 3 a.m.
Mm,
Nobody's ever called me at 3 a.m., but I was like, oh, I was the most likely, the one that they wanted to call. So, uh, it means a lot,
yeah, yeah,
but I also, when I reflect about those awards that I have won, it always makes me think about the heroes that I have, that kind of led me when I was, freaking out or scared or didn't know
yeah,
something that was important. I tell the people that I'm training all the time is that learning is uncomfortable.
yeah,
So when you come to residency, you are going to be uncomfortable. And when you are standing in front of a human being who's suffering because you don't know something that you're supposed to know, that is the most discomfort, and that's why we have people supervising you right behind you to kind of help pull you through that moment so that the
yeah.
next time you know it. And it's just, again, a lot of experiences like that, over every day, over many years.
Yeah, I think that's where you learn is where through either mistakes or things that don't go so well or that's how we develop and grow. Because if
Absolutely.
everything was rosy all the time, I don't know that I don't need to learn anymore because it's all great. I think that's how I see things anyway. And when you start to think about when you started college and started med school, how much you knew,
Yeah.
to now how much you know after all this as your career and how much you could still possibly learn. There's still capacity to learn more, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
all right, so let's take the flip side. So I assume you've had some bad days in your career, your life, whatever. So are you willing to share what that's like been for you? But
Yeah.
that doesn't even
Yeah.
sound like good English. What has that been? What is it? Anyway, what you know what I'm saying?
It's hard when somebody that you really care about dies,
Mm,
um, And, I had some experiences early on where I felt, and this when I was really young as a resident, I felt like this person had this problem, and the people that I kept talking to about it were kind of shushing me, and think not thinking that for whatever reason. And after a while, I just stopped bringing it up, and uh, I tried to advocate for that patient as much as I could. And it's a long, tragic story, really. But um, anyway, he ended up dying from the thing that I thought he had that nobody else
Mm,
thought he had. And it didn't make me feel good that I was right. It made me feel
right.
like a failure that I didn't push harder to get other people to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you learn a lot from those types of things. And you know um, there are a lot of people that see the writing on the wall, and they know that, again, this body that we have, this life that we have here, isn't meant to last forever, and they get ready. And then there are other people that are just not ready, and when they are dying anyway, that is such pain
Mm,
and grief. And I think one of the worst things is I took care of this man, who uh, was dying from heart failure, and he had come to the hospital multiple times, and there really wasn't anything that we could offer him at the time. It was a long time ago. We have a lot of advanced therapies now that we didn't have then. But he finally, I guess, came to this resolution that there wasn't really much for him, and he was being discharged with hospice. Um, and I went to see him to see how I was feeling, and uh, and I asked his daughter. He was going to live with his daughter, and hospice was going to help him there. And so I had talked with his daughter on the phone. I hadn't met her in person. And so I went to see him that day. He was being discharged, and he was like, I said, "Have you spoken to your daughter?" And he's like, "No." He was very angry, I think, at his situation, but he got his phone and he just dialed his daughter's number, and basically just started screaming at her and berating her. And it just made me so sad, because this man was at the end of his life, and he couldn't
mm,
find a place of forgiveness or tenderness or whatever. And his daughter was just crying on the phone, and I said, "It's okay, I'll call your daughter later and fill her in." Anyway, I went out to the nursing station, and I called his daughter, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry, your dad is just unhappy with how things are turning out. It doesn't have anything to do with you." And she was very sweet, and she said, "This is how my dad has always been his whole life, and this is why I'm
mm,
the only one that's
mm.
here for him now."
Yeah. That is,
So that I think is a really bad day, because the person's physical body is shutting down, and the inside core soul of them is still not in a good place of peace.
right. Mm. Yeah, I've been telling folks, sometimes, hurt people, that's unfortunate. And she's had the brunt of that her whole life, and sees that. Okay, so let's pick it up for a little bit here. You ready? All
You
right.
asked a bad day.
Yeah, yeah, I did. Sometimes, yeah, you get what you ask for, right? Okay. So in your life, whether Vernon or Lockett, high school, college, what what episodes have given you the most joy in your life outside of going to prom with Ray Gerald?
Oh gosh, I mean, I'm still waiting for something to top that.
No.
I have, like I said, I have a lot of great memories of times I'm so grateful for people like Shelley and Jill Henson and my cousin Kim Strite, we were, through and through, even though we ran in different circles. And,
Mhm.
just all the people that were nice to me, in high school that set me on this path where even if Miss Rader doesn't believe in me, I believe in myself.
She just
Because
probably thought you were joking because you're a big joker. She just probably thought you were joking. That's
I don't
all.
know, right? Even when I told my parents, they were like, are you sure? So I I don't think it was really one episode in high school. It was just the whole culmination of being raised in a family where hard work and love of other people and taking care of other people was so important. And then having a friend group all through school that also helped me focus on what's important in a way to have fun and believe in myself.
That's great. And so, what are some of the milestones along that where you can look back and you can plant a flag here and here and here in your life that you see? What are those moments for you?
Yeah, I felt pretty taken care of and maybe even a little bit sheltered until I left for college.
Yeah.
And that was a huge trajectory of growth for me because I was on my own, managing a heavy course load, working, and trying to. I mean, my parents supported me a lot, but I knew um, that I should not be spending a lot of money and, just going crazy. And, I never drank alcohol all through high school. I don't even think it was until maybe my second or third year of college, but until I had a drink. So I found a way to have fun without, doing some of the things that other people do. So going to college was definitely it was not easy for me, and I did not do well on my first set of exams, and I called my mom and dad and basically said, "Dad, I think I'm going to have to come home and farm with you because I don't think that I'm going to pass college." uh, but I mean, talk about a turnaround.
Yeah.
I got a tutor and learned how to study.
Hmm.
And Ray, if you would have stayed there more than 3 months, I mean, maybe that would have been the same for you. But and then going to medical school again was a whole again another just spine building exercise and believing in yourself. And we had 220 people in my medical school class. 21 of them had failed the year before and had to retake the
Hmm.
year. So um, success was not guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and then but like I said, there I completely believe that God has always been watching over and guiding my steps and giving me opportunity. And I never would have believed that I would be a program director and a professor at the medical school or any of this stuff if somebody would have told me that in high school. But it's just taking the next opportunity that presents itself and learning from that experience and the next opportunity and on and on.
Yeah. So you said you were the program director for 23 years, and you also talked just now, you mentioned you're a professor as well. How does that
You,
work? Where does that fit
yeah,
in?
when you're at a teaching hospital, you have to get an appointment at the medical school,
Yeah.
either assistant, associate, or full professor to be teaching the medical students and the residents. So
Okay.
it kind of goes together. So yeah, I
Wow.
was the MedPeds program director for 23 years, and then the chairman of medicine and the program director met with me and uh, asked me if I would become the program director for the internal medicine program.
Okay.
Uh, and I didn't know that that was something that I really wanted to do, but I prayed about it and I got a clear answer to say yes. And
Hmm.
I said yes. And that was in January of 2020. And then
Okay.
February and March of 2020 was when COVID happened.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
so I was in charge of 100 doctors in training during the COVID pandemic
Wow.
here. And it was the first time in my life that I started having panic attacks because I would wake up in the middle of the night and just like be afraid that one of the residents would get COVID and die, while I was in charge of the program, and just what would their parents think. And,
Yeah.
so thank goodness the vaccine came, and we were, very proactive in getting all of our house staff and the faculty the vaccine, and that was really a game changer,
Mm.
because then at least we felt like we were protected and we could take care of the patients with, in a little safer way.
Yeah. That's great. Well, having I was in a hospital for 2 weeks with COVID pneumonia,
Oh, wow.
back in 2021, July. And so I want to thank you and those doctors for taking care of me. Luckily, I was not on a ventilator or anything like that. But the thought of, yeah, I can't breathe
Yeah,
it's a scary place to be when you can't breathe on your own.
absolutely. Well,
And
I'm so
so,
glad that you did well, and,
yeah, and
hopefully you
much
don't have
help,
any
much healthier.
residual.
No, we're good. My scar or healing or whatever, my lungs
Yeah,
are good. Had to take the test and the breathing test or whatever and
yeah.
breathe in, blow out to get your capacity back. So I think I'm at 90, what is that, that oxygen this,
Oh, the oxygen saturation.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm at 98, 99,
yeah.
whatever's
Perfect.
good. So
Yeah.
it's good. So thanks for taking care of folks that were
Oh,
dealing with
yeah.
that.
It was really an honor, but, and I, like I said, my thought about being useful, that was really, it really served me well during that time, but just being responsible for
Yeah.
all the people, that was really a challenging time. And, just, I have a great team of friends and leaders, and again, we were doing things that really mattered, and making decisions that, again, we like stockpiled toilet paper for the residents to take home, because
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were all working, so you just never really know what your job description's going to look like.
Sure. And uh, with that, and do you have to write journals or write in medical stuff? You had to write stuff?
You mean like publish?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to do that kind of
Yeah,
stuff? Yeah?
a little bit, but most of my publications are like medical education related,
Okay.
like
Like, what do you mean?
educational literature, not
Oh,
like
okay.
I did an experiment with a rat.
Right, right. You save that for high school days. Yeah. Okay.
Cheetos. Yes.
Cheetos,
The
yeah,
Cheeto
Cheetos.
experiment.
All right. So you're somewhat published, but not published in terms of it's more just educational
Yeah.
material, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what led you to go to stay in the education field versus a private practice or that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I did that 5th year as a chief medical resident because I was still learning so much, and I felt
Mm,
like I needed to stay and learn more in order to really be prepared. And a lot of that role was teaching,
mhm,
and mentoring, like students and younger residents. And I just really got a lot of satisfaction out of that. And then when they offered me the position to be the program director, which is almost unheard of, uh, at my thing just kind of my path just took a little bit of a different turn,
yeah.
because I don't think I would ever have had those opportunities, especially so young in my career, if I had been
Mhm.
in Texas.
Hmm. Why do you think that?
Um, hmm, I don't know how to say this without it coming out wrong. Partly because I'm female, and partly because it was,
Hmm.
in the like, before 2000.
Oh, okay.
Like there were a lot of men
Male
in those
dominated
positions.
field.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You
And
kind
for
of
many
blazed a
years,
trail, sort of,
for
so to
many
speak.
years at our graduate medical education meetings where all of the residency program directors come together, I was the only female for, I don't know, probably about 10 or 12 years.
Wow. Okay. Do you think you talked about that the day you had where you you didn't speak up about the disease or the issue that that person had and that they passed away. Were you having to report or sharing things? You know, you were young in your career. Was it male dominated that were either weren't
Yes.
listening or you felt like I really can't be,
Well,
forceful in what I believe, what I think this might be. They just weren't, they were discounting you. You think because of your female?
I don't know.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, every person in that room was male, but I don't
Mm.
think that that's what made them not
Yeah.
listen to me, you
Maybe you're
know?
just more young, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
Where you're just your experience level wasn't
yes.
as theirs was.
Yes, and I think you've probably learned this too. There's a way for you to say things with clarity and confidence that comes across with the right amount of assertiveness
Hmm.
um, and self confidence. And I probably was still really young and learning a lot of that too.
Yeah, yeah. I can remember that in my training days as an investigator, and the time my one of the people that you talk about that's in your life. So my boss, uh, one of them, another guy, when you go on these check rides and you're with, another investigator, and he's observing you, and I'm a brand new trainee, and he says after we do this one interview, he said it looked like two ice cream cones melting because my confidence level wasn't there. I don't know what to ask. I don't know what's going on. I'm new at this, that kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
my boss was out with me on a check ride when they were walking the streets of Dallas, interviewing different people, looking at different records. And he talked about me. He said, "Hey, what's the deal? You don't seem to have any confidence, you know." And some of the best advice he gave, he says, "You can do this job." And he asked me a question. He said, "Is it because you're short?" And we're walking the streets, and I go, "Well, part of my confidence just that's always been a thing because of my
Yeah.
height or
Yeah.
lack thereof." And he said, "Let me tell you something." He goes, "You are short. Get over it. That doesn't mean you can't do this job." And so later on, years later, because I quit at some point after 6 months of doing investigations, went back to United Supermarkets and came back. And 2 years later, after I know what I'm doing, I feel like I'm confident and all that. And he's like, you know, are you glad you came back? Yeah, yeah, it's fine. He goes, you were one of the best trainees I've ever had. I said, well, I wish you would have told me that. I never would have left.
Yeah.
And then I would have come back and I wouldn't have wasted the 6 months of not being an investigator. But that kind of thing of not having the confidence, what you say is important. And that confidence comes with experience of doing this for a while. And like I know you ride horses and I assume
Hmm.
and that kind of stuff. My assumption is the first time you get on a horse, you're not very confident and then that horse can buck you off or whatever. And then well, you got to get back on the horse and get some more confidence, right? That's the analogy, I guess, that comes to my mind of, you just you learn things because you make mistakes about whatever, or I'm not confident. So, and hey, I'm still new at this, but you know, even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes, and I might be right on this thing. People, you need to listen to me. But you talked about that assertiveness versus aggressiveness. A lot of people say, "Am I an aggressive driver?" No, I'm an assertive driver.
I'm
So anyway,
gonna ask your
uh,
wife about that.
well, she'll say I'm very aggressive, probably. Uh,
But you're
so
right. Having those people that provide you that coaching and that very
yeah,
specific feedback is so important to, help you get to what you're capable of.
yeah, and
And
so I
you
assume
said
that's
yourself, like when you were in high school, the guys can be really brutal, joking and teasing and stuff like that.
yeah, and you just kind of take it, and I used to be real sweet and good and kind, and then I moved to Texas, and my wife she hears the stories of whatever that aren't shared on this podcast, but she'll say,
Oh,
I don't know that.
there's a dark podcast on the dark web or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, and she'll say, I don't think I would have liked you in high school. I said, what? You may not have, but just like to have a good time, and again, at other people's expense sometimes.
You're very well liked, Ray.
Well,
You're
that's
very well
is that
liked.
you? Is that you joking again?
No, 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 not at all.
Uh, all right. So, all right. Let me ask you some other things. So, I can remember we have some lighter stuff over here in your career. So, first of all, uh, what's your plan for the rest of your career and life,
Yeah.
and like where are you in terms of retirement or close? No,
Yes.
no.
Well, I turned 62 in February, so theoretically I could get Social Security, but
Happy belated
um,
birthday.
thank you, appreciate that. I love what I do. So in September of last year, I stepped down as program director, and now I'm only working half time. But I'm still working in the hospital, just doing internal medicine only now, and still working with the teaching program and the residents. But I'm not the program director. My father's not doing well. My father and my mother are actually still alive, living in the
Wow.
farmhouse that you drove to. My grandmother is actually
Wow.
104 and
Oh
still
my
alive,
gosh.
living
Wow.
in her house. And sometimes on a good week, she's playing bridge with her friends.
Wow.
So, I go back to Vernon a lot now. And in September, I basically resigned from my position. And so I come to Phoenix for 3 months and I work my shifts. And then I go back to Vernon for like a month and help my mom take care of my dad,
Hmm.
and, kind of stabilize things there. And that's what I've been doing, for quite a while now. And, I never got married. I don't have kids. I do feel a sense of satisfaction mentoring some of other people's children when they were, learning how to be doctors. And I think I just was focused on, what I was doing, which,
Hmm.
obviously took 15 years. And I never really, I never really had a desire to get married.
Hmm.
So, what I probably won't be doing is getting married, but I love what I do. And I still now doing it half time is amazing because I don't know why I thought I needed to work all the time, really. But when I resigned from that position in September, it just opened up so much space so that I could really take care of my mom and dad in a much better way, and be more attentive to them.
Hmm.
And I've taken stained glass class. I'm a certified yoga instructor. I, do have a bunch of plants, do a bunch of projects. I have my little table saw and I build a bunch of little wooden things and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really enjoying life. And I'm also enjoying not having to touch my 401k right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this is really a great spot for me to be in as long as I can do this. Now, when something happens with my mom and dad, and that might change things a little bit. I
Yeah.
do have this vision of myself buying a piece of property in Texas with a
Hmm.
creek running in the back with a few acres, having horses, and just kind of retiring there.
Hmm.
Uh, but right now it's just a something I think about, and I know that just like I've made every other decision in my life, something will happen and God will lead me in a certain place. And
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very concerned about Vernon, Texas right now because of all the data centers that are
Yeah. Hear that.
being developed there in a time where the farmers and the ranchers don't hardly even have enough water to feed their cattle.
Yeah.
But, uh, you know, we'll have to see how that all plays out.
Yeah. You said centers. There's more than one. I wasn't aware. I don't know. I've
Well,
not
there
followed with
it
all
might
that.
not be in Wilburg. They're
Oh, around
all
there.
around. Yeah, all around.
Okay. Just because there's
Even
empty
when I
space
drive,
out
because
there.
when I go back to Texas, I drive. So I
Yeah.
drive from Phoenix, and even driving through Lubbock and all those places. And my uncle lives in Granbury, and
Hmm.
uh, I just it makes me nervous about the impact that they're going to have on what life is really like there.
Yeah. Well, that's I think that's very thoughtful of you to be concerned about, with the potential for impact of what those might have. Uh, hmm. All right. So Donna, what you're gonna write yourself this letter to your high school self. What would you tell yourself?
Well, I think I would tell myself to make sure that you know being funny doesn't mean being unkind, like we've talked about. And I would ask for grace from people that maybe I crossed the line with there. But I don't know. I think I would just tell myself that you're going to be okay. Like, uh, believe in yourself and things are going to work out, the way that they're supposed to. And, you know, uh, don't, don't feel so, uh, unconfident or self-conscious, and just have a good time.
Yeah. Oh, nice words of wisdom. All right. Uh, okay, so I can remember some in high school, they had all these senior parties, people had senior parties, and I was sharing with you
Yes.
that, this is how nerdy I am. I have a scrapbook of all high school stuff, and I have all the invitations of all the parties that I went to. There's about like 25 of those, and about six or several of those, a fourth of those at least, about you were honored as one of the, these people you knew, wanted to honor you and or with other people.
Yeah.
It's parties that
Yeah.
we went to. And those were so much fun. And there's one party, I don't know why I got invited to this or why you and I got invited, but I think it was a party for Robbie Bocart. It was at the Rutherford's house. And but it was like a date. Like there were these established couples were there, and you and I were there as like
Yes.
a couple, and we had to play. It was like either dating game or newlywed game or something like that. Of ask questions of how do
Mm.
we know each other. The
Yeah.
guys would
How
go
did
out
we
and answer
do?
questions. I think we won. And we're not a couple, people. I think we won that. But anyway, I remember that thinking, why are Donna and I at this with all these established, couples, high school couples. So anyway,
Well, Ray,
I
I
just
just want
remember
to say that it was always an honor to be your plus one, that whole time. And I hope that
that.
I was really nice to you and not like being too overly shushy or something.
No, no, you're always good. I just remember we just laughed a lot, and I assume we had a lot of classes together,
Yeah.
honors classes or whatever. And but I don't specifically remember you ever shushing. I do remember you shushing me and Jay. Uh, about something Jay was doing. I'm sure we were laughing and cutting up and making fun of somebody up on the stage.
Jay probably needed to be shushed, but you never need to be shushed.
No, I need to be shushed a lot, I'm sure. Uh, okay, with that, any other comments or things that I feel like I'm not asking you something that people might want to know. What? Oh,
I've,
and here's a question.
oh,
What is
yeah.
there about your life that that on the surface we may not really know about you. Like I was surprised to hear that you're an introvert. Didn't know about your illness as in middle school. But if somebody would look at you from high school and say, "Well, I never would have thought that about Donna." Is there anything like that?
I think there's probably a lot of things that people in high school didn't know about me, because I was involved in a lot of things in high school, but I also, I had a lot of responsibility on the farm. So I
Hmm.
didn't go to the country club and I didn't like go up and down Wilburger Street. And, so this is going to sound really silly, but it will tell you something about hopefully how much I've grown. When I was maybe at the first part of high school, I actually wanted to be like go to the country club and I wanted to like be in town and do all of those things. And I used to pray that a tornado would hit our house so that we could move to town so that I could be more involved in those types of things. And, of
Wow.
course, God doesn't always answer prayers, which is actually a good thing
Yeah.
because I think the testament to, who I am and it is a lot about my family and also about having a good school and a good group of friends that kept me, like I said, focused on the important things in a way where I could have fun but not get into trouble. And have some really great relationships. And I feel I feel badly that I've never gone to any of the reunions, but I'm not really on social media that much. And so, and ever since I finally got my first job, we make our schedules a year in advance, and all of
Mm,
the residents graduate in June and start again in July. And it
yeah.
seemed like a lot of the reunions happened during that time of year. So I feel like I just always kind of missed out on that. But it's been so great to catch up with you and to hear so many amazing people, stories of their life, and to hear, Donna Love talk about how she takes care of kids, and Wayne, how much he cares about, young gymnasts, and, just so many good-hearted, tender-hearted people that are making a positive impact. I feel really proud to be a part of the class of 82, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this. And I also have done the math in my head, Ray. I mean, like, we have like 150 people that graduated from our senior class.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a
I got
lot
a
of
few to
elders.
go. Yeah, and some, someone asked, said, that maybe it was Beverly Cheryl Wolf, Connolly said, this is great what you're doing. I think it'd be great if we got 50%. And that kind of burst my bubble because I thought, I want 100%. And I was like, 50%, but that's still 75 people,
Yeah,
if 150 is the number,
no,
that's a lot of interviews and a lot of
a
conversations
lot
and
of
a lot of
hours.
laughter. And
Yeah,
yeah. And so this has been it's fun. If anybody would have told me, hey, after 45 years or in 45 years, you're going to be doing a podcast. First of all, what's a podcast? Back then, or you're going to be talking to people. I said, I'm going to be talking to people. I don't know about that. And not being from Vernon, so I didn't feel like I knew a lot of people, but I didn't know everybody as well as I would let. You look back now and you think, man, I wish I had known that person. Why didn't I
yeah,
go talk to them and get to
yeah,
know them? And so that's what reunions are for. And um, I don't know, just have a lot more curiosity for what people have been up to, and that kind of led to some of this.
yeah.
Me wanting to
Well,
find
I'm
out what's
honored. Yes, I'm honored that you invited me to talk with you, and I hope that we can stay in touch. And if there's anybody out there, that wants to connect with me, I would love to reconnect. I feel like my life has just had like these high school, then college, then residency, then, it's just, and a lot of it's been removed from Vernon.
yeah, yeah, kind of these pockets. I would agree with you on that. And I don't know what the next journey is, but hopefully these folks that have either contemplating doing this, saying yes to the podcast. And some people have, are skeptical, like I'm very private, I don't want to give out stuff. Like, well, you can just answer whatever you want to answer. I'm not, people have always
Hey,
said to
if I
me,
can do it, anybody can do it.
exactly. When I was later on in my career as an investigator, people would often say that you're very intimidating and you're very this and that. Like I didn't see it. And my wife would say, you have a look that says, I mean business. When I mean business, I mean business. And so I didn't ever saw that. And how do you get people to tell you things? I don't know. I didn't have a gun. I didn't have any arrest authority. I just had a piece of paper and a pen and just wrote down, asked questions and I got really pretty good at that. And speaking of that, so what you talked about some awards that you've gotten. Any particular accolades, or do you go speak to other people in the profession, conferences or that kind of stuff?
I did for a while. I was kind of uh, I did a lot of like leadership development training for like nurses and
Okay.
physician groups and things like that. I mean, managing, you know, managing 100 people in their residency, you learn a lot about trying to capture people's motivation and put them in a space where they can really learn and develop important skills, and also sometimes hear important feedback that you know helps them grow in important ways. So
Hmm.
uh, f- finding, things have changed a lot in residency training programs, in terms of the number of hours worked and finding a balance of, um, taking care of yourself and being well and healthy as you're actually training. But the whole world is different now too. So
Yeah.
it's just, evolving over that time, it's been a really interesting journey, and I've learned so much, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity that I've had. to be useful in my life, and look forward to what lies ahead for as long as it lies ahead. I play this game in my head a lot of times where I try to be overly generous. I work at a hospital where a lot of patients don't have insurance, and so this poor little man, he doesn't have a leg, and he got beat up, and he lost his wheelchair and all of that. So we bought him a wheelchair because that was really important for him, and I just try to be really generous, knowing that God has blessed me so much that I'm going to, there's a verse in the Bible that says, to whom much has been given, much will be expected. And so I just really try to, make sure that I'm a good steward of all of the blessings in my life, which have been huge because so many people have not had the opportunities that I've had.
Great. Good to hear. Well, thanks so much for what you're doing and what you've done. And so how long will you do this part-time or half-time
Yeah, it's,
doctor?
I've kind of talked to you about my mom and my dad and my grandma. I feel like it's a little bit of a house of cards there. So, depending upon when and how things change there, uh, might impact how long I'm able to stay here and still keep my job. As long as I'm
Mhm.
able, I would love to keep doing what I'm doing, but there might be new, ideas that God has in mind for what I'm supposed to be doing. And, uh, I I feel very content that, when I made that decision in September, and now that I can go home and take care of my dad for a whole month and give my mom a break,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's been huge.
yeah. That's great. But you can do that. And I assume that and the hospital allows you to do that.
Yeah.
That I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long
Okay.
as I do my certain required shifts and, can flex my schedule and, you know,
Yeah.
uh, it works out fine.
Okay. Um, Biggest moment in your career or best moment in your career?
Hmm. I feel like I've had so many. Um, I think after I was the Med Peds program director for 23 years, a lot of the residents that I had trained and, my colleagues had like a big, reception honoring me. And then, last September, they did the same thing for the internal medicine program. And that was just really touching and really special to me. They made this big art board, uh, and they ask all of the residents, how does Dr. Holland help you keep your heart in medicine? And just some of the thoughtful responses that the residents wrote down, I have hanging in my office, and it's just, you know, on a bad day or even on a good day, just makes it so incredible.
Yeah. And what's that like for you? The fact that, you've stood on the shoulders of people that trained you, and then you're one of those people that people are standing on your shoulders to achieve whatever they do. What's that feeling like for you?
Why, again, I just feel really humbled and grateful, because, I know that almost, just like we've talked about, anything that I've accomplished in my life really reflects back on my family and how I was raised, and Mr. Bursey helping me fill out those little forms, like it's I've been able to achieve what I've been able to achieve because of so many other people. It takes a village, and so many people that I meet, as I'm seeing patients in the hospital. I just think to myself, but for the grace of God go I, like if I was born in a different place with different parents or, different socioeconomic, or, if I was this poor man's daughter that I talked about, I might have a drinking problem that, like it's just so much trauma and so much pain. And it's, uh, it's sometimes uh, a beautiful world,
Yeah.
and sometimes it can be really painful. But both can be really meaningful.
Mhm.
And you just try to make the best of it. So,
Yeah, that's good. Good outlook. All right, so tell me you're from Vernon, without telling me you're from Vernon.
uh, tell me I'm from Vernon.
Or maybe Lockett. Tell me you're from Lockett without telling me you're from Lockett.
I used to have a T-shirt in high school that said Vernon, Texas is not the end of the world, but you can see it from there. um, yeah, I think I think I feel more connected to my family from Lockett. My
Mhm.
grandfather's grandfather heard that they were giving away free land in Texas, and he was in Switzerland with his
Wow.
six brothers.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you're number six in line, there's not much land for you in Switzerland.
Yeah.
So my grandma's house used to still stand in the place where my grandpa's grandpa built that house.
Really? Wow.
So we have a
That's
lot
awesome.
of legacy there. Now
That's
a
great.
tornado came and took out my grandma's house, but luckily she wasn't living in it at the time.
Well, you didn't pray for that one, did you?
I, you know what? That was really delayed. And I got the coordinates mixed up. So yeah, I hope that was not me.
Yeah. I assume you remember the 79 tornado, yeah?
I do remember it very
Yeah.
well.
When
The
we were in
tennis
seventh
coach,
period, I remember.
yeah, our tennis
Where were
coach.
you? Where were you? You in tennis practice?
My brother, no, I didn't play tennis, but
Oh,
I knew the coach because her husband was in the Palomino Club and was into horses. But um, my brother and I, because of course that was the big drag for my brother, is that I didn't have a car, but he did, so he had to drive me home until I was a senior. Then I got a car, but
wow.
he we were driving home from school and we had stopped by, there was some record place out there on that by going to the country club. We stopped there to look at new like LPs or something. And then we saw the cloud and we're like, wow, it's really starting to rain. We drove right through it. There was a
Yeah,
truck on right at Lockett right in front of us that got taken off the road. And my
really.
mom worked at the little the crop dusting place right there where it went across the road and got the runway, but didn't get my mom's building. So
Really? Wow.
yeah, it was really close.
So
And
she
then
was
it
in
did
that,
it.
was your mom at work when that hit the
Yeah,
building?
yeah,
Oh, wow. Had to take cover, I take it? Or,
yeah,
ee,
yeah.
man. Wow,
Well, we
that's,
drove, and then we drove right up to her building, and it had just passed. So when
wow.
you're in the tornado, it doesn't. I mean, you don't know what's happening because it's just like
Yeah,
really black, and
yeah,
loud.
yeah. Wow.
But thank goodness we stopped to get that new Journey record or something.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, was that Hardcastle air
Yeah,
egg?
yeah,
And I asked that because, I was doing my research, my team of research assistants, looking at things and so looking at all these yearbooks. And so, when they do the advertisements,
yeah,
and
uh-huh,
the kids are, in the different pictures,
yeah,
I think for all 4 years, you're Hardcastle egg air or whatever it is. So I thought,
yeah.
what's the connection there? It's like, okay, your mom worked there.
Yes, my
All
mom.
right. Okay. I was just wondering.
Harold Hardcastle. He had one of my senior parties too. He was
Yeah.
one of those people very influential in my life. I painted his house, so he paid me, and I used that money for college. And you know,
Wow.
I painted other people's house in college for money. So
Did you?
yeah, oh yeah.
Wow. All right. All right. That's awesome. All
I
right.
just love you, Ray. The fact that you still have the scrapbook with all of the little invites in it, I wish I would have kept that because my little brain that's going into advanced age of memory, I don't have those memories now. And so I appreciate you sharing them with me.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. There's a lot of them. And they're fun just to kind of look at. And maybe maybe it's nerdy of me to do that, but I just have that. And Vernon, for me, you talk about moving to Vernon. Vernon always seemed a close-knit community. Being an outsider coming in, I felt like I moved into being somewhat of an insider. And the friends that I had were great, and I have nothing but fond memories of high school. Uh, so it was just like you talk about God moved us there for
Yeah,
whatever reason.
yeah,
And that's just, it's part of his sovereignty that I had to be in Vernon, Texas for a period of time, and you know, and I could almost see the end of the world because
At
we thought
times,
you moved from
two
Los Angeles,
days.
California, yeah, Los Angeles, California to, and we didn't even live in Vernon. We lived out in Elliott.
Oh,
We lived
wow.
17 miles out from
I didn't know you came
town.
from LA. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, inner city Los Angeles, California. So, and so this is where God's plan. I thought I wanted to be a film student. I wanted to, be an
Oh,
actor, going to UCLA Film School, and
yeah.
for some reason, when we moved to Vernon or the Vernon area, I thought, well, that dream just ended. Like I'll never go there. So,
And
and
then
so
in
there I
the
come.
senior play, I mean, you were the star.
Well, I wasn't the star. Mickey was the star.
Well,
Roy
you
and I
stole
were
the
trying
show. Yes.
that's me and
And now
my.
you have this podcast filming. So see, hey, who's going to do yours? That's what I want to know. Who's going to ask you
Uh,
all these thought provoking?
I've asked some, there's a couple of people that want to do that. I've kind of made an agreement with somebody to
Uh-huh.
do that. I'll keep that a secret so when it happens. But I've shared with people like if they have some questions for me of some thoughts, I said some of my life will be sprinkled in, because
Yeah.
I have connections with a lot of the people I've interviewed.
Yeah.
I played football with a couple of football. Well, I was on the football team like yourself. But we just did fun
You
things.
played, Ray. You got to
I did
play.
play. I did play. Uh, at the expense of Mickey, but I got to play. Uh, but so it's just I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, it's been. I don't know who's gonna. I know who's gonna do it, but
Yes.
like if you have questions, you can ask me something. I'll share something. But your memory is shot apparently that you don't remember.
I
And
it's so
this coming
full of
from a doctor. Yeah, you have a lot of
it's so
medical.
full of other stuff.
You have
Your
a big
scrapbook,
brain.
I had to just delete that at one point in time.
I delete nothing. I keep everything. And maybe that's the investigator in me. Like this, you know, I have a good memory of stuff long ago, but
Yeah.
I'll walk into a room and I'll forget, like, why did I just come in here? I don't know if that's a sign of something. Maybe medically you could tell me if there's an issue
No.
with that.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
distraction.
Distraction? Yeah, that's what that is. But anyway, but somebody at some point, and some of these interviews could be or conversations could be, hey, part two, because whenever I've finished an interview, investigative interviews or whatever, even these interviews,
Uh-huh.
I think, oh, I could have even if it was a great interview and a great conversation, I think I could have asked this or I missed that because you're listening to something, and
Yeah.
you try to stay focused, but once you start thinking about the question, you stop listening. So stay with the person, but then it's that oh, I could have asked that. I missed this opportunity to ask that. Like for example, as a doctor. What advice would you give somebody that they have a loved one who has a terminal illness and how do they deal with that? Or somebody who doesn't deal well with death, what would you have them to say? Those kind of things. So from a medical perspective, because you have to, I assume there many times you've had to give bad news to people. And so and the others are just, I don't know what to say. And one time my wife gave me some great advice early on. Because we'd be at a funeral somewhere, and I said, I just feel so awkward. I don't know what to say. And I realize now it's not about me and how I feel. She said, you don't have to say anything, just be there.
Yeah.
And that's okay, just be there. But so what advice would you have for people who are dealing with, a terminal illness or uh, a family member that's going through a difficult time or whatever? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think there's two perspectives that you're kind of touching on. If you're there as somebody supporting the person, like your wife insinuated, being there even if you don't know what to say, and being honest and say, I really don't even know what to say, but I'm here and I'll be here, and
Mhm.
whatever you need, please let me know. But as a physician, there's always a mystery to every single how things are going to turn out for anybody. And so, I think there are some doctors that still, I don't know why, but they would quote like, oh, well, this has a 1% complication rate or blah, blah, blah. When you're that 1%, you don't care really what happened to the 99 other percent. So I try to frame things, especially if people are dealing with like a life limiting condition, to say, we don't really know everything that's going to happen in your case, you know? Um, and if people feel like they really want to know, I can tell them, a year from now, 50% of the people that have your stage of illness are still alive, you know?
Mm.
If we know with that much certainty, sometimes that doesn't help them, and I don't include that, but I say, I've done this long enough to know that there are people that I think are going to do really well and they don't, and other people that I think are going to not do well and do poorly and they actually end up doing okay.
Hmm.
So all I can say is that we need to make the best decision that we can about what to do right now. And over time, we'll be checking that treatment. How is it going? How are you responding? And we'll be in this together to see how it all turns out.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Maybe those watching will appreciate it as well, or listening to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have somebody who is ill, being an advocate for that person and what that person needs, it's that balance of being, like talking to other people, reading, finding that balance of being assertive, but also understanding that sometimes our healthcare system is very clunky and doesn't work the way any of the doctors really want it to work.
Mm.
But sometimes it pays to be pushy to get, what you need for your loved one.
Yeah.
Because being sick, you don't have a lot of energy to do that.
Yeah, you don't. And I can remember when I was in the hospital, my son uh, came down and he was also here. He was living in Fort Worth at the time. And, he was talking to Catherine, my wife, and my daughter. And they started calling the hospital and like, hey, we want answers. And we're somewhat getting forceful about, well, what about this? Why are you giving him this? I mean, and I was just, watching TV, once I'm just on the oxygen, but I can't breathe on my own.
Yeah.
And so they were my advocates. And it seemed like once we started getting more pushy and they're saying, Dad, you need to ask for this and ask for that and ask for this. And oh, okay. So it's very helpful that they were
Yeah.
doing what they were doing behind the scenes and researching. And, my son was all over stuff. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's all into this medicine stuff. And then when I started asking a bunch of questions and asking, I want this or that, all of a
Yeah.
sudden things changed. And it seemed like I went from being a COVID protocol patient to you're no longer ICU. You're just regular patient. And we just don't have any beds outside of ICU, that kind of thing. And so but then I started getting back, I got a different doctor all of a sudden, and that person
Oh,
seemed to give me different treatment, telling
uh-huh.
me different stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. And I seemed to start, I was probably going to get better anyway, just over time. But it just seemed that things changed when they started asking more questions
Yeah.
for me anyway. That was my experience. So,
Yeah. Well, it pays to be a educated partner in the
yeah,
process, right?
yeah,
Not just a passive observer recipient, but sometimes you don't have enough energy or you're too sick to even know what's going on, so your family member has to take that role.
yeah. That's good to know. All right. So, okay. Uh, anything else that you want to talk about
I don't
or
think
anything I
so.
haven't asked?
Oh, well, I mean, it's hard to encapsulate, last time I've seen
Life.
you, and yeah, and a short period of time, but I hope I get to, I mean, I look forward to hearing a lot from a lot of other people as well. Like I said, my story is my story, and I feel really grateful about how it's turned out. But so many people, I'm just touched by what they've done and what they're still doing in their life to make a probably
Yeah. I guess that was probably one of my last questions is, uh, so what do you want people to take away from your story, your life's journey so far?
Uh, I don't know. Just uh, I think it's hard. Everybody has their own unique experience in life. And, like I said, I think it's important to believe in yourself, and at least for me, doing something that makes a difference and where I feel useful has been really important. But there are a lot of different ways that that happens in people's lives.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I feel like Columbo, like, oh, and there's another thing here. And so maybe this is the investigator part of me coming out. But so the thing is, so because of your sense of humor, uh, my guess is that in all the hard work that you have, like in through going through medical school, uh, you had to have had some humorous activities occur. You got things that you can share or want to share that's just sounds
Oh,
really fun. I think I could think of some really funny things. I watch medical shows and
yeah.
they're serious stuff, but then there's some funny things that happen. I'm guessing.
A
Any
lot of
funny
the
things?
funny things we try to keep behind the scenes because, I
Oh,
mean, you have to
the serious stuff,
have
yeah.
a certain levity, but you also, somebody in the next room might be dealing with something that is
Oh,
very, not
yeah,
levity.
yeah.
But yeah, a few, when I was, and during my residency, our program is at the University Hospital and the VA, and so
Okay.
one of my friends was on call at the VA, and we used to be on call where you would come in the morning, you would work all day, all night, and stay until the afternoon of the next day, and then you would get to go home, and then you have to come back the next day, and you would have to do
Wow.
that every third day or every fourth day, depending upon
Okay.
what rotation you're on. So you were at the
Wow.
hospital a lot, but we ordered this food because you can't get anything worth eating at the VA at night, and it had this roasted red pepper salsa. It was like Mexican food, and one of the guys I was working with, he's such a joker. There was a nurse who was like always a little bit high strung and always on edge. And he got this emesis basin and he poured some of that stuff in there. And he like ran up to her and he's like, look what this guy just threw up. And the nurse was going to like pass out. She was like sweating bullets and, her eyes got really big. And I mean, there are some hilarious things that happen.
Okay.
One patient just, I don't even know how he flipped his mattress over onto the floor and chipped his teeth on the floor. And we came running in and we were like, what happened? So there are some crazy things that would make you giggle a lot, Ray.
I, I, yeah, that's. I'll probably think of that someday. I'll be driving down the road and I'll think of this some guy flipping over and chipping his tooth. And I see people's lives and incidents like that. I see it through a movie lens. Like it could be on the screen somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just an episode or it's this little funny scene, whether it's a sitcom or a romantic movie or a drama, whatever. I see life as a movie. And so that's just how I see things. And sometimes, and I like comedies. Uh, just so I can see that as a thing. I can
When I
remember
was
this
a
one
medical
time.
student, I was in my OB rotation. I was getting the numbing medicine and the syringe like ready. And I had this mask and this thing, and I hit the plunger and it shot across the room right when this woman had a contraction and she like sat up and screamed and the went right in her eye. And I was like, don't
Oops.
be concerned if your eye starts to get numb. That was just some numbing medicine.
He thinks he's going blind. He's like, oh. But see, I can see that in a movie. Somebody's gonna hear
It
this
should be on
someday.
a
You'll
TV
see
show.
that that's gonna be
Yeah.
in a movie someday.
Yeah.
We should write. You ever
Somebody's
thought
gonna
of put?
steal my real life
Yeah.
experience.
Have you ever thought about writing some sort of screenplay or anything like that with your medical stuff?
No, never.
No? Hmm. I once thought about writing a screenplay or a movie about. I used to work at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing where Kyle Witt works,
Uh-huh.
and so I always thought about writing a movie. It's kind of like a Die Hard. Somebody's going to steal the money,
Oh
that kind
yeah.
of thing. And the only thing I could get through was the opening scene, the credits, because the U.S. flag is flying, with the
Yeah.
Texas flag in there, and that I was the star, and so my name was going to be Rex Harold. That's my name, and and I'm being banished from Washington, D.C. because like I'm a drinker or whatever. Like, you got to go to Fort Worth, Texas, and you got these Longhorns in the background. And anyway, so this flag is waving. And so all I know, the opening credits is all of a sudden there's this, the dollar bill shows up, because that's what they were printing at that time was just a dollar bill.
Huh?
And they started moving to the other denominations, but all of a sudden it's green, like
Huh?
blood, but it's green. All of a sudden it turns to red. And it's like, it's called, and they would say, In God We Trust was the name of the movie. Uh,
Hmm.
and so anyway, that was my opening credit scene. I thought, and somebody goes, "Why haven't you written that?" I go, "This, I don't know, just haven't written that." But that was
Yeah,
that was my
you
thought,
look
like
like
early
that
on.
guy that's in all those movies like Olympus Has Fallen, that
Oh
whatever
yeah,
that guy is that like saves the
uh,
president like 7 times over.
yeah, yeah. Gerard, something Gerard. I can't think of his name, but anyway, so I've had that as well. And then I thought about what do you call it, a show where so people wouldn't think that investigations are funny, but we had a good time in the investigations
Yeah,
group, especially at the FAA. We had a good, funny thing. But it's just, how you have like the FBI series or NCIS.
yeah,
You could
yeah.
have humorous things,
Yes. They
very
could use some more
sitcom-y.
humor. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I've thought about things like that as well. So, but my creativity has been reduced to just asking people questions and putting it on YouTube and
We're holding you
Spotify.
back, Ray. I
Yeah, yeah,
mean, you're
yeah.
gonna have to just branch out.
I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender. Anyway, all right. Well, I'm sure we could talk, I appreciate that you said yes to this and that, for us not speaking for 40 something years, uh, it's been fun getting to talk with you and just learning about, how your life has been, the journey you've been on, the faith that you have and has been continued throughout your life, how close you are with your family, and the fact that they're still around and you're close with them. And that's just great to hear, and that you want to make a difference in the world, being in medicine and wanting to be useful to people. And it sounds like you have been. So I really appreciate that and how God has worked in your life. Just I'm happy to know you and happy for our friendship, even though we haven't spoken in 40 something years. And maybe we can talk about leadership development sometime. And if you want to, if you don't want to, that's okay as well. So thanks.
I've loved getting the opportunity to talk to you, Ray, and sort of just tell you what's happened to me since I left Vernon High School. And I appreciate that you're doing this and reconnecting so many of us. And my story's not any better or worse than anybody else's, but it's just what my life has been, and it's such an honor to for you to even want to talk to me, and for people to even want to listen to what's happened to me. But I look forward to hearing from a lot of other people, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this, and your life has turned out the way that it has. And that you're just I think even 100 times better than the last time we went to the senior prom together.
Yeah.
Just so much fun to listen to and see who you've developed into, and all the people that you've impacted and influenced, and how you're continuing to bring people together.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. So hopefully others will want to share their story as well. Everybody's story is everybody's story. They're different, and there's a thread of faith and growing. And so I like just hearing the stories. My curiosity is what piques all this. Uh, so I hope others will say yes when requested or when asked to do this. And for those that don't, that's okay too. But I just want to share. I've sent messages to various people that they haven't responded, kind of like I responded to you, but or I
Yeah.
asked you a question on Facebook or whatever, and you
Aw.
never got it, right? Because it was through Messenger or whatever. So somebody sent out and it just shows delivered. Like I don't know if they've been received or whatever. So folks, look at your Facebook stuff and see if you got any messages from Ray Gerald. It's really me. So
It's not
anyway.
Rex Harold. Is that
It's
what you
not
said?
Rex Harold. It's not Rex Harold. It's Ray Gerald. And so I just appreciate it. So that's this episode, folks, with Dr. Donna Holland, extraordinaire, Vernon extraordinaire person. Thanks again for watching this episode of In a Flash, the Years Go By, and we'll see you all. God bless.
Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Bye. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of In a Flash, The Years Go By podcast. If today's conversation reminded you of home, of lion pride, or of a chapter in your own life's journey, you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe, share the episode with another lion, and keep spreading that Vernon Lion spirit wherever you are. And if you'd like to be a guest or nominate someone with a story worth telling, reach out. We all would love to hear from you. And until next time, remember, Lions, Lions, we back you, says the class of '82.